All right, guys, we're back. And we're talking about a little bit of a different subject today. So in the previous two videos, we talked about the importance of calories and their effect on weight gain and weight loss. If you haven't seen those videos, I'll link them in the description on this video. You can go back and watch those first, all right? So what we found out in the second video is that in excess of calories, no matter what makes up those calories is going to make for a weight gain, okay? And a deficit in calories, no matter what those calories are going to make up a weight loss, all right? So as I discussed in the tail end of the last video, is we're not always just concerned about weight gain and weight loss. We're really kind of concerned about the tissues that make up that weight gain and the tissues that make up that weight loss. So in this video, we're going to try to talk about how to optimize the kind of tissues that you want to gain and how to optimize the weight loss of the tissues you're trying to lose. All right. So the two tissues that we're talking about obviously are muscle tissue and adipose tissue, also known as fat. All right. So when we're talking about these two components, what makes up those calories now becomes important. All right. So the three next most important factors are our macronutrients. All right. So those are our proteins, our carbohydrates, and our fat intakes. All right. So we'll start with proteins first. Most people have a pretty good understanding of protein. Amino acids, muscle builders. All right. Everybody has a good understanding that proteins are basically our building blocks for muscle growth, but they're also they help promote our retention of muscles. So everyone's always worried about muscle growth, but people aren't worried enough about keeping the muscle that they already have. All right. So if you're constantly building muscle, but you're also losing or wasting away a ton of muscle, then we're never getting ahead. All right. We're always trying to get ahead. So optimal protein intakes. Now, obviously, this varies depending on how many calories that you're eating, but a very general number to hit is the literature says about 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound body weight. All right. Nobody's gonna bust out a calculator. Ain't nobody doing 0.8 grams per, if you weigh 150 pounds to see what your body weight or to see what your protein intake should be, all right? Use 1 gram as a baseline and then you can adjust from there, all right? So to put it even simpler, I myself weigh about 235 pounds. So I need to eat at least 235 pounds to retain the muscle I have and to promote more muscle growth, all right? I like to eat a little bit more just because I like most of my calories coming from protein, but that's a safe bottom line, all right? So now the next important factor is carbohydrates, all right? So it seems like nowadays people hate carbohydrates, people love carbohydrates. There's the anti-carbohydrate people, and then there's the people who just can't get enough of carbohydrates. Well, the answer obviously lies somewhere in the middle. Carbohydrates aren't terrible for you, and carbohydrates aren't the next coming of Christ either. So carbohydrates, really, your optimal intake for body composition and performance really depends on your activity level. All right. So if you don't train at all and you don't do any sort of exercising at all, your carbohydrate levels don't need to be very high. In fact, they can be very minimal. All right. So a good rule of thumb for that is, if you don't train at all, about 0.5 gram per pound of body weight. All right. So if we use that same example, using myself as an example, I weigh 235 pounds. I don't know the math on that actually. It would be somewhere around 117 grams of carbs a day. All right. So, but for people who do train, and hopefully most people that are watching this do train, it kind of bases on 3 different categories. People who do light to moderate exercise, people who do medium to hard exercise, and people who do extreme workouts. All right. So the grams per carb kind of base from 1 gram for the light to moderate, 1.5 to the moderate to hard, and then the top carbohydrate intake is about 2 grams, all right? So the people who are eating 2 grams are people who are probably doing 2 workouts a day, most likely CrossFitters, not you powerlifters. You powerlifters probably fall in the 1 to 1.5 grams per body weight, and those are on training days, all right? So carbohydrates can be a good tool for people who are training. They can help you with your energy levels. They can actually help promote muscle growth when you use them around training. That'll be a topic for another video. But carbohydrates can be your friend. But when you go in excess of carbohydrates, and not so much excess in carbohydrates, but when you go in excess of your calories, then carbohydrates can then be a negative thing, as most people think them as a easier way to store fat, all right? But that's only when you go into your excess calories, as we have determined from our previous videos, all right? So that leaves us with the last macronutrient, and that's fat, all right? It's got a terrible name to it, doesn't it? Fat. So this is actually the least important macronutrient as far as our body composition and our performance is concerned. Truly, if we have our protein intake and our carbohydrate intakes in check, well, by law of division, our fats basically take care of themselves. So carbohydrates, if we're eating consistent protein every single day, which we should always be having around 1 pound per body weight. So like I said, for me, 235 grams of protein every single day. Now on days I don't work out, my carbohydrate levels are gonna go down to about that 0.5 grams per body weight. And that's what happens with my fat levels. By default, they go up, right? So truly, if you take care of your proteins and carbs, your fats will take care of themselves, all right? So if we reference that previous video and we talk about those 1,000 grams of Twinkies being we promoted weight loss in that video. That weight loss most likely is going to be muscle due to the fact that we didn't meet any of our protein recommendations, right? If we don't meet our simple protein recommendations, the first thing that's going to go is muscle. It's the hardest thing to gain and the easiest thing that our body likes to use as energy, all right? So, and then the other side of that video, when we talked about the 2,000 grams that Johnny was eating, he was eating healthy foods. Like I said, we didn't declare what his macronutrients are, but if we give him optimal macronutrients, then that 1 pound is going to be muscle, all right? Because he was hitting his protein levels, he was hitting his carbohydrate levels, and his fat intake took care of itself. So that's our very brief description on the next most important factor of dieting is macronutrients. Now understand that our macronutrients aren't as important if our calorie balance isn't in check first. All right, so first things first, calorie balance. Once your calorie balance is set up, then the next important factor is our macronutrients, and we're trying to get the optimal amount of protein intake, carbohydrate intake, and our fat intake. All right, so if you guys have questions about this video, leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll be back for more. All right, see ya.